and welcome to Categories TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and our guest today is Matt Mayhem, the bassist of Burning Legion. Now, Matt, let me ask you, in regards to Burning Legion, do you just handle the bass duties, or do you handle the vocals as well?
Oh, great question. And well, Jay, again, like I said, thank you so much for having me. I want to be grateful right off the bat. Um, and to answer your questions, no, I mean I handle mainly the bass parts of it. Kind of putting everything together behind the scenes. I do the mixing, I do the mastering myself. The vocals, we have some hired guns that do that. I wish I could sing like that.
Yeah.
We have some hired guns. We have a good friend of mine. His name is Harry, and he does some of the vocals on
So,
this
so let me
new
ask you:
album.
is Harry the one that did the vocals for the current single "Domination"?
No. That's another buddy of mine. He's over in Finland. So a couple guys that we kind of just had a little network of things kind of going on, and
Yeah,
was able to
and
hire
people
him.
should know, as you were telling me before we went on air right now, this is a studio project, and kind of like what you're describing. The cool thing about that, I've talked to many, bands where people don't even live in the same part of the world, like you're saying, and yet they're able to record an album together, which is pretty cool. That you don't have to be. I mean, back when we were growing up, you had to like pretty much be in the same town
Yeah.
uh, for everybody to show up to the studio and record in the same room. Um, Technology being what it is, kind of cool. I got to tell you, even doing the interview this way, I just started doing these video type of interviews, and
Oh, nice.
in January of 2023. I'm not really too tech savvy, but a friend of mine really encouraged me to embrace doing this, and I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and I'm happy that he gave me that encouragement because I educate myself how to do it. It's not as much involved as I thought, and it's a lot of fun. Even like the interview I'm doing with you today, Matt. Each interview I notice takes on kind of a life of its own. Has a
Yeah.
different personality because even where you're coming from, just right away people are going to like, oh, what a cool background that is.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you got to promote, and I mean, yeah, it's kind of a blessing, right, that we could
Yeah,
have that ability to have technology to make music together, right?
yeah,
And I think that's one of the things that was kind of hindering me prior to doing this. I mean, of course, the pandemic opened a lot of things, right?
yeah, sure.
But it made me want to write music because in the band that I was in before, Serpent Within, we broke up. And I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like in a depression. I had a lot of anxiety. So I was like, I gotta get back to music,
And
right?
what caused that band to break up? Was it like you said, the pandemic and the lockdowns? Was it inner band fighting or what?
No. We're all still good. I mean, we're not as best as friends. I mean, I'm still like my the drummer in that band is married to my cousin, so
Uh,
we're pretty
Not like you
close.
never
We're
see each
yeah,
other. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. But I mean, no. In of course, like with every band, right? When we break up,
yeah,
there's a little bit of bad blood, but we grow older. You know what I mean? And it's like
yeah.
we have families. We were going in different directions.
Well,
No
yeah,
harm,
that's
no
good to hear
foul.
because so many, even the well-established bands, a couple come to mind that have been touring for years. Like
Yeah,
take a band like Rat. I mean, very successful band, but the guys all kind of hate each other enough that they can't even get in a room to record new music. So they'd rather
exactly,
just call it a day. And
exactly.
you understand that part because you're not getting along with people. Why do you
Yeah.
want to work with them? Because again, if you're going to go on the road or do any kind of live performing, you want it to be at least be able to enjoy your time up on the stage, right?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and that was the thing. It's like we it was a lot of not communication in that band. And one of the things I was like really priding myself on in a band was to have communication. I was the one setting up the gigs, I was the one setting up the practices. And I was like, this kind of sucks. And then again, things happen. We meet girls, we have families, we have different careers and stuff like that. Again, like I said, no bad blood. Like I still love those guys. I wish them
Yeah,
the
sure.
best. And they're still in my heart. Yeah.
And so, like, when you decided to do something else, and the idea for Burning Legion came along. I mean, immediately, I'm sure that you make the decision. Okay, well, if I want to sound exactly like the last band, we would have kept that together. So there's a certain probably part of your mind that goes to the thought that I'm going to make this kind of something that's my own. I want it to sound somewhat different.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it did because I did release a solo album called Unbroken, and I was really, really happy with it. There was musicians on there that were phenomenal, right? And I looked at it as a good opportunity. I was like, well, look, if I'm getting along with my guitar player, Adrian, who plays guitar in Burning Legion, why don't we're grooving, you know what I mean? So I mean, if we have really good chemistry, why not capitalize on it and just have, you know, Burning Legion come out, and
Yeah,
then the same thing with Eric Fernandez, who is the other guitar player in Burning Legion, who is, amazing. And it's funny because they're both different, but they
yeah,
both create so much, you know, beautiful, like guitar work and stuff like that. So I mean, pretty much what it is just it had to open up. I had to have that opportunity. I had to have that platform to kind of just release it, because one of the big things that with for me specifically was like I have to create, right?
yeah, yeah,
I have all this I have this technology, I have all this time, why not? And within Serpent Within, I didn't have that.
yeah,
I didn't have that ability. I was like, again, kind of not to make the jokes or anything, but I was the bass player in the corner, just kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
dingling away.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed to kind of be
And
at the forefront
being
now.
creative and being that guy that now gets to kind of call the shots, and you don't have to necessarily, take a vote with the rest of the guys in the band or make decisions that way, or even be told what to do. You have the total freedom to do what you want. It's your project. And when I dig, and the more I think about this being kind of an online internet type of studio band, there's no preconceived notion about what Burning Legion is right off the bat. I mean, you're a new band, so there's not the thing like Metallica has. Well, hey, nothing's been as killer since Kill 'Em All. Where fans have that expectation of what the band's supposed to, sound like. And I think the cool thing about a band like Burning Legion, where you have different guys maybe coming in and do the vocals, I don't think I don't think the fans or the people listening to this will get tired of it, because you'll have different musicians coming in, so it's going to sound different right off the bat. And so this single Domination that's currently out, which reminds me kind of a modern day kind of Ozzy era Black Sabbath, kind
Oh
of got
wow.
that vibe,
I
um,
appreciate that, man. That's every Beyond the Heavy that I do, I mention Sabbath because I think is the greatest band of all time. It's the
yeah,
most
sure.
important band of all time. I'm very old school when it comes to that, but I mean, Jay, I appreciate the kind
Yeah,
words, brother. Yeah.
and it's funny too, because you look at Sabbath had a very interesting history. I mean, typically most Sabbath fans will tell you that they're either a fan of the Ozzy era or the Dio era. I'll be honest, I like the Dio era a little better, but you got to have respect for Ozzy because that's what came first.
Of course.
I think more people delve into the Ozzy era and they find out it wasn't Ozzy that actually wrote all the lyrics. It was Geezer.
It was Geezer. Yeah.
And I've heard Geezer talk in interviews. Okay, once we got Ronnie, I was the guy writing all the lyrics. All
Exactly.
He's like,
Yeah.
but when you have a guy like that, I don't need to write the lyrics.
Well, it was funny because I started writing lyrics before I started playing bass.
Wow.
So that really resonated with me with
Yeah,
Geezer. I mean, of course, Geezer, one of my all-time favorites, of
yeah,
course,
sure.
again with Sabbath and stuff. But I was listening to Sabbath like in my mom's womb. It was
Yeah,
cool because my dad would put like speakers and he would
yeah.
get the vinyl and stuff and he would put Sabbath, Queen, all the classics and stuff. And
Hmm.
like on my mom's stomach, I was like, well, I was listening to
Yeah,
Sabbath before I even existed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you look at Ozzy, what he's done solo wise, got a lot. He's had a huge successful solo career, but I've heard him talk over years that he didn't really like know how to write a song really until Randy Rhoads sat down with him and taught him one day. And if you look at his solo career, a lot of the guys that he's had in the band over here, they're great songwriters. Guys like Zach Wild, Bob Daisy, just to name a few, Jakey Lee.
Yeah.
Um, so he surrounded him guys with not only talented musicians but talented songwriters.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And that was kind of the thing that I did with my solo stuff is that I was telling Adrian and everybody
Uh,
else, the people that I worked with, I'm not a Prince, I'm not an Ozzy, I'm not
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like being in the front, I like to have a good team. I like to make everybody shine, and I'm not
And,
not
and,
this not
and
the
again, you got
discredit.
to know what you can and can't do. And what I mean, like,
Exactly.
you sit here and you tell me, well, I'm not, you don't want to hear me sing, but yeah, you want to put out a solo album, maybe you don't have to be the front man. Maybe you don't have to be the lead singer on the album. Get somebody else that just kills it with, vocally.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. Exactly.
being, a Matt Mayhem solo album, your songwriting is going to probably shine a little more.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and that was the thing is like I love watching other people play, and I'm like
Yeah,
I can't. I know speaking to Adrian or speaking to anybody that was on the
yeah,
album, it's like, hey, this is what I'm interpreting, but I want to let you have your creative input,
yeah,
right? Because it's not just my name's on it, but I want it to be ours, right? I want to give you the credit. I want you to shine as well, you know.
In
And
fact, I heard Dave Mustaine talk over here. There's a reason when he formed Megadeth, he decided to become the frontman. Initially, he wanted to have a lead singer, but he said, first of all, I couldn't find anyone, I found a lot of talented singers, but nobody that could interpret my songs the way I was hearing them.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then, his manager or somebody suggests, Dave, just try to do like a scratch vocal. And they say, no, you're pretty good. You're not half a bad singer. You ever thought
yeah.
about being a frontman? And he said the main reason he became a frontman, not so much that he had the ego to do so, but that again, that he could find any vocalist that was really able to interpret his songs the way he was hearing them.
Exactly, exactly. So I mean, it was kind of a blessing in disguise. He got kicked out of Metallica.
Yeah, and in fact, that's the thing. You want to deliver a good product. So like, if you really have a belief, for example, Matt, that you're not a great singer, you can still put out a quality album. Writing the stuff and surrounding yourself with a band that's just as talented, vocally, guitar wise, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're not a monster shredder guitar player, but you can find one, to do their magic.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And that's the same thing with Adrian. Like he, I call him I gave him the nickname the Riff Beast because I would interpret something on bass and then he just takes it to a whole nother level. I think Burning Legion, the reason why it becomes so heavy, the reason why it's intense is because of him. Like I want to say it's like 60% of him, 70% of him. So that's when you have that chemistry, you
Yeah.
can't let go of it.
I'm interested to see what you guys do next because again, Domination may sound like an old school Sabbath song, but that doesn't mean everything you record has to sound that way.
Oh no, no.
Especially like different vocals for different tracks. Like maybe next time you want to do something kind of as a little Iron Maiden influence, who knows?
Yeah.
And it gives you the ability to do that. And then the fact that you're not maybe going to take it on the road and it's more of a studio project, people don't have that expectation. Okay, they need to have a singer that can cover all this material. There's not
Mhm.
that pressure.
Yeah, and that's to say that we're not open to it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
If we could find, I mean, there's a lot of talented musicians, there's a lot of talented people. Thank God for the internet. That we see people have that ability to kind of just like, go on TikTok, YouTube and stuff and hash some things out, right? And
yeah.
we're open to working with anybody, you know what I mean? If you got a good vibe, you're in, that's not a problem. But
So as far as
if
your
it,
guitar players, how
yeah.
do the guys go about deciding who's going to be playing what? Is it a matter of okay, well, Adrian, you wrote this, so you record whatever you write, and
Mhm. Well, no, it's well with this album specifically. We really sat down and hashed out, the tracks that we're doing, right?
yeah,
Like, okay, Eric, we're taking care of this one. Adrian, we're taking care of this one, and kind of just mix and matching some of the things that were produced. Like, so Eric was really more of a producer on this track, right?
okay,
And he knows how to play it and everything like that. But he's more of a producer, and then it will switch around with, when Eric does more of his tracks that he takes leads on, Adrian will kind of do more of the producing, kind of put some input
yeah.
and stuff
And
like that.
again, this is an interesting concept because you guys are not in the same room. I assume you're
Yeah,
all recording your parts separately. So
yeah.
let's say when you finish recording everybody's parts for a track like Domination,
Mhm.
and the song is all edited, you hear the final product. That's kind of got to feel like a major feeling of accomplishment, like because you have no idea what's going to really sound like, as great as the guitar parts may be, until the whole song is edited and put together, and then you hear it and you're like, wow, man, we just killed it. And
Yeah,
then
exactly. Yeah,
that's
and that's the thing. That's what we take pride on is,
yeah,
we just want to write heavy stuff. We want to write stuff that's meaningful, right? I think metal. I think this is a great time for metal to kind of
sure,
just branch out and bring everybody together, right? Because I feel like in the past
yeah,
couple of years, there's been a lot of divide, right? The
yeah,
new school guys, the old school guys, the thrash guys, the death
sure,
metal
sure.
guys. It's like, dude, why can't we just all be one big
I mean,
happy
I'll
family?
tell you a funny thing. I remember in the '80s, when I was growing up. Um, this sounds maybe funny to say now, but like Bon Jovi was considered heavy metal simply
Yeah,
because he had long hair, you know.
exactly,
And
exactly.
now,
Because he was on MTV, that's why.
yeah, people are like, oh no, he's pop rock or he's pop music, but he got labeled simply because of the way he looked, you know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like there has been a divide, right?
Yeah,
And that's happening since the '80s, even the '70s. But you know, when we go to shows and stuff, that goes away, right? You know,
Yeah,
but it's like it's the internet stuff. It's the behind the scenes, like, oh, those guys suck or whatever. You
yeah,
know, yeah, everyone has their own opinion and stuff, but you know, appreciate the art. You know, at least
yeah,
I'm trying to bring that into the scene, trying to bring that to the community.
yeah.
Like, hey,
I
this
mean,
is
I
what
do a show
originally.
called "This Is Metal," and the just the title it's kind of so simple. What we and the whole thought behind the title of the show is
Yeah.
what is metal? I mean,
Hmm.
you define it something different maybe than I do, but like I consider Kiss more maybe lean more towards hard rock, but I'd say they're a metal band. I mean, if you look at some of the 80s
Yeah.
stuff, Lick It Up, Heaven's on Fire, even if you go
Yeah.
back to earlier stuff like Strange Ways, you know, Black Diamond, that's kind of heavy aggressive.
A little bit, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, they really once they took the face paint off, that's when they really started making music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like, or making it heavier, I should say,
yeah,
because
yeah,
if you listen to stuff like Love Gun,
yeah,
those are classic songs, man. Those are
yeah.
well written, put together
And
songs.
then I heard somebody the other day talking about like, I mean, I still considered Iron Maiden a metal band, but somebody's saying if you listen to some of the more recent albums, they're more of a progressive rock band. You know, I don't know if I agree with
Uh,
that,
I mean,
but
yeah, well, I
yeah,
mean, again, even Iron Maiden, right? Like AC/DC, those guys that we know the consistency is there,
yeah,
right? You know, I mean, yeah, they got to mix things up once in a while,
yeah.
right? You know,
I
you
mean,
can't
really,
just have the same
like
thing.
you said, AC/DC to my mind is the only one that can really get away with, except maybe Motorhead too, having kind of
Yeah,
same
yeah.
kind of sound throughout every album.
Exactly, exactly.
But
Yeah.
they're
Or
masters
Cannibal
at what they
Corpse.
do. Yeah.
Or
What I
Cannibal
hear people is,
Corpse.
Judas Priest, those they call Rob Halford the metal god for a reason. But I got the shock of my life when I went back and I was on YouTube one day and I came across the very first album, Rockarola.
Hmm.
Listen
Hmm.
to that. That's much more sounding like a progressive rock album because it was Priest really. Because if you think about that album, from what I understand, Rob Halford had just joined the band. They previously, so all the songs on that album were written by a different singer. So
Exactly.
naturally, they're gonna have a different kind of sound. But it was interesting to go back as a Judas Priest fan and say, okay, that's what came first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, if you listen to British Steel and
Yeah,
then you listen to Screaming
sure.
for Vengeance, you're
Yeah,
like, oh, okay. You know, there's definitely a distinct difference, you know.
yeah. That's
Great,
why he is
both
the
great
metal god,
albums.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Both amazing albums, but completely different albums. Yeah. I
And
mean,
so,
good, you know, yeah.
what's next for Burning Legion? I know your publicist told me you guys are working on an album. And help me with the title because I couldn't really figure out how to pronounce it.
It's okay. Yeah. So it's called like
Uh-huh.
Saba, like SAB, you know, like Sabbath, but almost
Yeah. You
Saba.
know, that's a super cool idea. I mean, for a simple fact that a lot of people like me are not gonna be able to figure out the pronunciation, but it'll get people talking about Burning Legion.
I really hope so, and I'm glad that you asked me for the pronunciation. Even I had to kind of go on
I
Google
don't like
because
to even attempt to pronounce something I don't know how to do it. It's
exactly.
kind of
Well, I
like,
mean, and then there's some bands, especially black metal bands, that like put out stuff that you can't really pronounce.
and
But
it's like even
um,
especially with somebody's name, I don't want to screw up somebody's name.
exactly, exactly. But the title of the album is called what it translates to the first one.
The first
So
one.
and actually I'm a comic book guy, and
Cool.
the guys in the band know it, and people who know me, I love Marvel, I love comic books and stuff
It's
like that.
funny, a lot of
Yeah.
metal fans are fans of that stuff. I mean,
Oh, they
I
have to be. Yeah. I mean,
include
it goes
myself.
hand in hand.
Yeah.
Well,
You
Burning
know,
Legion again is a playoff of World of Warcraft.
like
So
I just saw the new Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're a fan of that
yeah,
kind of stuff,
yeah,
it's a cool film. I mean, I don't think it's better than anything they've done before, but it's living with the legacy of what that is.
yeah. It's great, great stuff. Great
I can't
stuff.
wait for
Yeah.
the Flash coming out in a few weeks. Yeah,
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, and then Michael Keaton coming back out.
yeah,
Coming back, joining the crew. So hey, it is
yeah.
what it is. That's my Batman. That's what I
And so
grew up with.
what's your target as far as the album? Like, and is it going to be a full length, an EP? Do you think? And do you think it'll be out before the end of the year,
It's yeah. We're shooting for the end of summer.
early fall?
Early fall ish. We don't have an exact date.
Oh, sure.
We still got stuff going. And we really want to focus on making it sound good, making it sound right. Getting it
Is it an
together.
is it an independent release? Something you're releasing it, or are you signed to a label, or?
Well, no, we're not signed. We're not signed. So if anybody out there,
Yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
the
no,
cool
no, no,
thing
yeah, we're
about being independent is
yeah.
you don't have a guy at the label telling you, "Hey, we need something more commercial friendly that can get on metal radio."
Yeah, no, no, we're not about that. Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's funny because I think, and to be honest with you, Jay, this album is is going to be different. And I hate when bands,
Yeah,
side note, I hate when bands say it's going to be the heaviest thing. You
yeah,
know, it's like they say that every album.
yeah, yeah,
But this album specifically is going to be like the Baskin Robbins. It's 31
yeah,
flavors. You know, we even got a track. I was telling one of my buddies yesterday, we got a track that's very like Nine Inch Nails, kind of
sure.
indie, Lana Del Rey type of style. We got a female vocalist on there, who just knocks it out of the
Yeah, I
park,
just
bro.
love the thought of that. I mean, right there, it tells me that I know at least I could say for myself, probably not going to get too bored with Burning Legion for a simple fact that you can't honestly have an expectation because what you just told me they're having a female singer. Like you listen to Domination, you think that's the band sound. It's like, oh no, this is just the first track. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Oh, exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, because we want to keep people on their toes. I mean, because that's one of the things about, again, like we were saying about metal, it's just like every band is, they put out the same record. You know what I
And of
mean? And
course, I
that's
know you don't
okay.
have Metallica's budget, but I got to tell you,
Ooh,
I think bands what they need to do is find new and interesting ways, even on the internet, to market your album. Like Metallica, when they put out their latest album, the night before they had what called a global premiere. They did a music video for every single track. You could go to a movie theater and check it out. It was a pretty cool
oh
experience.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
again, I realize you don't have that kind of budget, but I'm saying even like an internet type event where maybe you preview the album the night before, you talk about some of the songs. I mean, that's I think what bands should think more about because it's vinyl is finally starting to make a comeback, but
yeah.
a lot of people they're like, oh, I'm just going to buy the latest track for 99 cents. I don't want to buy the whole album. And
Hmm.
days when you and me were growing up, it was very different. Like you had to go out and buy the album. You had to go
Hmm.
support your band. Um,
Exactly.
I mean, the cool thing you can go check an album out on YouTube, but I encourage people if you do that. Like the new Metal Church album came out, and you can go check that out. The full album is online. But if you like it, I encourage you to go buy it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I still do that. I mean, I'm a big fan of Testament, big fan of Overkill. I bought those albums, the brand new ones. It doesn't matter. If you're a fan, you're a fan,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what we're looking to do too, possibly getting some physical ones,
So right now, I guess these tracks will be released individually. Maybe when you get enough to put like a CD together, maybe you'll do that.
No, no, we're definitely going to do an album. It's going to be a full album release. We're thinking
Physical
about
product,
doing.
right? A
Yeah,
CD.
yeah, 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 yeah. We're probably gonna do a physical. We're still doing some research on that. We're still seeing what we can do for distributors and
Okay.
contacting stuff. But main thing, yeah, we're gonna set it as a release, and then maybe we'll send out one more single before the
Yeah.
album, and
And
then go
again, I
from
got to
there.
ask, Burning Legion, cool name. I mean, it's simple. It sounds like a full blown metal thing to me. How
Yeah.
did you come up with that?
Well, I mean, like I don't know if you heard me, but like again, kind of going back to the comic book stuff.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
very
okay,
I'm
yeah.
big into World of Warcraft. I love all
Oh,
that
okay.
stuff. And so Burning Legion is actually one of the like villains in World of Warcraft.
Oh, I
And
love. See, I'm not aware of that,
yeah,
but I love the thought of just incorporating videos and comics and stuff in your music.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because I mean the there yeah like I love how it sounded. I was like Burning Legion. That sounds so cool. And then I was like,
And
hey,
it's
why
it's
don't I
kind of
just
simple, but it,
yeah
it makes sense. It sounds cool. And
yeah.
I'm sure outside of a video game, there's not too many bands called Burning Legion.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny that you say that, Jay, because when I was putting everything into Spotify and getting everything, there's another band called Burning Legion, but I guess they broke up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
In fact, I know this guy who plays in another band, and he had this tribute kind of recording thing like you're doing, but like they do great cover songs of classic rock bands, and
oh, nice,
and
nice.
they're called Farmer Bob, but the problem was when you do a search for them,
Hmm.
um, you wouldn't believe all the stuff that comes up. So the guy
Oh,
told me he had to change the name just for that reason alone.
oh, that's that's funny, man. That's
Yeah,
funny. Yeah,
and
yeah.
so let me ask you because your publicist wanted me to mention this too. The fact that in addition to all the Burning Legion stuff, that you do a podcast called Beyond Heavy. Now, how long have you been doing this, and where can people find out about it?
Yeah, so I mean, Beyond the Heavy is an exclusive just Spotify podcast that I've done. I started it last year. I was lucky enough to run into Ben, our promoter, our publicist, and he was just kind of tossing me guys, and I wanted to just be part of the scene. I wanted to get the name out there. I wanted to meet these great musicians, these great individuals, and
Is
hear
this
their
something you
stories.
created on your own, Matt, or like did somebody come to you to do the
Oh no,
podcast?
I did. I've been actually, to be honest with you, I've been wanting to do this idea since like even before Joe Rogan.
So let me ask
Yeah.
you about that.
Yeah.
Again, Beyond Heavy kind of tells you what it is. It's no doubt about metal, but once like you know a lot of people from being a musician, I'm sure, and playing the music scene over. So is that how you get a lot of your guests, or do you also like me research bands and reach out to them? And
Well, a little bit of both, Jay. A little bit of both because, like I said, Ben will toss me some of these guys, and then I know a couple guys that have been following me, like that really picked up steam with
yeah,
the solo release and stuff. And so I'll just message them like, hey man, do you want to just
yeah.
come on the podcast, have a
I mean, I've
conversation?
always I've never really had trouble getting guests,
Yeah.
and for the longest time I was doing the old school way over the phone, and doing it over Zoom is much more fun for all the reasons we said at the top
Oh
of this.
yeah.
But finally able to do it, so why not? Let's move ahead because I found out if you don't move ahead with the new technology, if you don't embrace it, you get left behind.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean,
My
you guys,
thing has
you.
always been about another thing, fun aspect about doing it on Zoom is now I can talk to more than one band member.
Yeah.
It, you don't even have to be in the
Yeah.
same room. I did the interviewed these two guys that played in the same band the other day, and
Mhm.
they were each at their own individual houses, and it was fun because again, you get a little different background. Everybody, and I've always believed that even the drummer, so to speak, most people think, oh, the drummer's a quiet guy who never gets to talk, do
That's a
interviews.
bass player, man.
I'm like, I've always been my belief. Everybody in the band has a story to tell,
Of
and,
course.
and
Of
if you
course.
give them that opportunity, you might be impressed with what you learn.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I think the beauty of musicians is that we all have a story.
Yeah,
We're all, everybody is their each individual universe, man. And when I sit down and just have that conversation, even with you, Jay, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Just have it, just learning about you. It's like, dude, you can't replace that. And I think people really gravitate to that, man.
yeah. Oh,
And that's
sure,
why,
sure.
yeah, I love it.
And
And
even just
people can
talking, I
find
think
it. Yeah.
that's what we connect on is even meeting you for the first time. The fact that we're both fans of metal music.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's again, it's a brotherhood. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, as soon as you hear that riff, you're like, oh yeah, we're connected. You know what I
Metal
mean?
fans, I think, are one of a few group of fans, that are really kind of because metal for so long has been kind of the underdog. We all got that connection.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's either you love it or you're not about it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And that's funny because like you mentioned that because like my wife, she's not into metal like at
yeah.
all. But like when she hears me listen to it or put it together, she's like, "Well,
And
that's
yet,
good."
I bet she's real supportive of the podcast and everything. Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
episodes of time, but man, you killed it today.
To be honest with you, I kind of want to have her on just
Yeah,
as a shits and gigs. You know what I mean? Just because she's a character.
yeah.
She's pretty funny, but I just want to see how she interacts with like people of my scene
I think it would
and
be
the
a
other
real
bands.
honest reaction because
Yeah.
even yourself when you go out or you talk to people, maybe meet you for the first time, and they find out you play in a metal band or whatever, you're a metal musician. They maybe he's a long haired freaky guy, but then maybe they talk to you, they get a different people have that immediate reaction.
No,
They
yeah.
they do judge a book by its cover. Um,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
you might talk to the guy and find out, oh, even people like most metals are they're metal guys, they're all devil worshippers and into Satan, and you talk to them, you realize, like even Motley Crue, okay, the album is Shout at the Devil, but doesn't mean they're devil worshippers. It was just
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's a shock factor. I mean,
yeah,
but I think we've gotten out of that. We've
yeah,
gotten out of that. Well, not really, because there's ghosts and stuff like that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, I think what to each their own. You know what I mean? Each band is they if they want to have that type of gimmick and stuff. That's
Well, I
cool.
just talk not even about the bands. I'm talking about like when people meet you, let's say for the first time, and
Oh, me specifically.
like they
Oh,
talk.
yeah.
Let's say, like you say,
Yeah.
my wife, I would love to do a show with her, but let's say you were doing the show with a co-host that wasn't really into metal.
Hmm.
You meet them for the first time. Let's say when you do episode number one,
The
they might be looking at you like, oh, I don't know, I'm not really into metal, but then it may end up working out for that simple because you have those two opposing views.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, and that's the thing is that it's not that she hates it or anything. She just doesn't understand it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And that's cool.
I mean,
She's
like
got her
I could
music.
sit here and say that I'm not a huge fan of not really at all of the Backstreet Boys, but at the same time, they've sold millions of albums, so somebody likes what they're doing.
Exactly. Well, I mean, there's marketing in that, but I mean, that's a whole topic. That's a whole episode within itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
find in doing each of your episodes because this happens a lot. Like I did a show with an interview with a guy that from a fanzine that years ago he's talking about how he built up his fanzine, and one of the first bands he got to promote his fanzine was Twisted Sister,
Oh,
and
nice.
so he spent we spent 30 minutes talking about how he first met Twisted Sister and got a chance to interview Dee Snider and what that led to. and then by it's something we do once a month, and by the end of the conversation, he mentions, oh, by the way, I was recently on, Twisted Sisters bass player Mark Mendoza's podcast.
Mhm.
I'm like, we're running out of time, but I'll tell you what, we'll pick it up, next month.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of great musicians on the podcast in the first season because I like to do it by seasons, and I did a season finale with a good friend of mine. I like to call him a friend. He's in a metal band called Kamala, and they're from Brazil.
Wow.
So we had to get the time situated. But it was a 2 hour episode. It was a
Yeah.
season finale. We were just riffing together and stuff like that, and it was great, and I was following him for I don't know, like maybe 2 or 3 years, and he
Yeah.
was just like, "Hey, I like your stuff," and I'm like, "Wow, like
See, a lot of the
I
interviews
mean,
I do,
yeah,
people I follow on Facebook, I make great connections with like publicists, like the guy that arranged this today, our mutual friend, the Lord of PR. I want to give him a shout out because
yep,
he's given me a lot of great interviews over here, and he continues to do so. And so I'm real appreciative of that, and I
yeah,
don't, I don't take it for granted. Not that
of
I
course,
couldn't still do this without him, but I wouldn't
it helps, it
have got
helps."
a lot of the bands, and or if I'm ever in need of somebody to interview, hey Ben, you have any the bands you're working with that need to be interviewed? And he always has somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Ben's great, man. Ben. I know it's funny because Ben he'll because I go to bed early, and
Yeah,
Ben will message me like at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I'll
yeah,
just talk
he's
to you
always up doing
later.
something.
He's always. I'm like, dude, do you sleep, man?
I never met the man in
Yeah.
person. We do everything over through email and text. But what's interesting is he's always working, and I found out recently he's telling me, oh no, this thing as a publicist, this is something I just do on the side.
On
I
the
make
side.
like
Wow.
I got another gig, but we'll leave that private. And he's like, you know what? I make a decent amount doing the being a publicist, but it's kind of small change. But he's great at what he does. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
no,
got
yeah, no.
worked with bands
He's
like
been yeah,
Barrage. He works
yeah,
with Sean Peck from Death Dealer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So no, he's a good dude, man. I'm glad I ran into him. I'm glad I talked to him.
yeah, yeah. So, that is really true. So I'll tell you what, Matt, it was great getting to know you,
Likewise, brother.
and the last thing I'll ask you for today is, how did you come up with the name Mayhem? Again, kind of a simple name, but
um, it is kind of funny. So when I was in Serpent with him, my very first band, as you've gotten to know me probably already within this
yeah,
interview, I'm very cool, calm, collective.
yeah,
I'm not one of those I need the attention on me, but
yeah.
I was walking into rehearsal and my drummer at the time, he was like, Matt, you're causing too much mayhem.
You know,
And I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting there. I think I was just eating or I was having
you
like
know,
an energy drink or something.
it's kind of funny
Yeah.
when people try to come up with a nickname for themselves. I often think it's so much better when other people give you a name.
Yeah. And it was funny because they were all having like a laugh, like, oh my God, Matt, you're so crazy, you're so out there. And or when we used to play shows and stuff, like, of course the drinking and all that
Yeah,
stuff, but I wasn't that type of drinker. I was like, I would just be cool or, have fun, just talk to people and stuff. And they're like, oh, you're getting in fights, Matt. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing none of that shit.
yeah, yeah,
So they're like, they called me Mayhem and
yeah.
like when you see a tall person, you call them
Sure,
like,
sure, yeah,
tiny. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
the other way around.
So Matt, this will be going up probably sometime next week. I'll let you know when a minute it goes up. Feel free to share it, and I really enjoy getting to know you. So you're welcome back anytime. Like I said, next time
Likewise,
maybe
brother.
I'll be back
Thanks.
and we can talk a little more about the podcast. I think that'd be fun. I know people can also go check it out on the YouTube as I did, just to kind of get a feeling of what
Yep,
it's about.
it's on YouTube, Spotify, those two. If you have iTunes, you're shit out of luck. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm
And
just
if
kidding.
it's all right with you, man, once
Yeah,
we post the interview, I'm gonna I'll post the song Domination so people can check that out too.
absolutely. Appreciate it. Yeah.
And you want to let
Awesome,
people
man.
know where they can find you online?
Yes. So we're really active on Instagram. We're very active on TikTok. We're very active on YouTube. We're just started building it up. We just did a playthrough video, me and Adrian, from one of the tracks off my solo album. You can find us at Burning Legion Metal. And the same thing for both. It's on TikTok and Instagram. We're there. We're getting a Facebook up. We're gonna get a website going. We're actually might try to get some merch within the next couple months
Oh,
too.
you keep us
Just
in touch with that,
yeah.
and when that's ready to go, we can have you back to talk about that and maybe show some of the merch you have.
Absolutely, man. I'll send you a shirt too. I'll
Oh,
send you a
I
shirt, man.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
definitely be in touch for all that. And Take care, man, and enjoy what's left of your 3 day weekend. Okay.
Oh, I got a 5-day weekend, so hell yeah, I'm ready.
Better. It's nice to be
Yeah.
your own boss, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Take care, buddy. Bye bye.
All right, you too. All right, thanks.